Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the odds of winning the billion-dollar lottery are what?
Well, if you win both the Mega Millions and the Powerball, the odds are 1 in 88 quadrillion.
88. 1 in 88 quadrillion.
Yeah. Which Mike Scott said is 15 zeros.
That's about the same as the odds that Crown Prince MBS didn't know about the murder and dismemberment of one Jamal Khashoggi. Still dealing with this issue is the Trump administration. Difficult issue because of the geopolitical importance of Saudi Arabia in the Middle East and this arms deal that we just secured with them. Mm-hmm. But Trump is getting some real criticism from some usual suspects, but nonetheless, Max Boot writing in the Washington Post, Trump has given every despot on the planet a license to kill. He cites, does Boot, Trump's rhetoric. President Xi of China is great. Duterte in the Philippines is doing an unbelievable job on the drug problem. Erdogan in Turkey. He was congratulating Erdogan in Turkey for winning the rigged referendum. He declared his love for Kim Jong-un and North Korea, talking about how they get along. Right. And this is all evidence, Max Boot suggests, that the only thing that matters, his words, the only thing that matters to this intensely solipsistic president is how other rulers treat him. How they treat their own people or even their neighbors is irrelevant. And I don't think that's really fair because there's Trump's rhetoric and then there's Trump's actions. And when it comes to his actions to unwind the Iran nuclear deal, when it comes to his actions to impose sanctions on Putin, even while rhetorically he says, we get along, we had a good meeting there in Scandinavia a couple of months back, and there's different things. So he's, Norman Vincent Peale, always on the positive with respect to his relationships with people who are otherwise constructively engaging him, he believes. But it doesn't mean that always translates into policies that are favorable to them or their country. And Iran and Russia and China, tariffs on China, I should add, are three pretty powerful examples. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined again by James Carafano, Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano, U.S. Army veteran, author of the book Surviving the End, as well as Wiki at War, Conflict in a Socially Networked World. Jim, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
So how do you assess the president's handling of the Khashoggi matter and also, if you would, address Max Boot's criticism of President Trump?
I thought the way you framed it was appropriate. I mean, I think what the U.S. does is a combination of rhetoric and action, and you have to look at both of them to understand U.S. policy. I think the problem is you can have any Trump you want if you cherry pick a comment or a statement and then try to devolve the policy from there. But you have to look at the context of everything we're doing and then try to put Trump's comments in context. He is a strategic communicator, but he uses his communications for different reasons at different times. Sometimes it's like the good cop, bad cop you see on Law and Order. Trump is delivering the positive message, but he has other people delivering the not so positive message. So I think you have to be more statesmanlike than Max's assessment and actually evaluate them like a statesman. On this, I would say right now, and what's going on with the Saudis, I think the U.S. is doing the right thing. We do have to worry about our credibility and how people view our actions, and we should take our actions based on facts. And for all the reporting that's been the last week, we actually don't have any more concrete facts than we had on almost day one of this crisis, which is we can believe that he went into the consulate. We can believe that nobody has seen him since, but almost everything else is based on reporting, leaks, comments, promises. And I think that for the credibility of the United States, we have to be better than that.
Well, so
we have to make policy based on what we can actually prove. I thought, just to say, what the British did with the Skripal poisoning incident, that was a textbook in how it's supposed to be done. The British did a credible investigation, and then it was easy to rally world support for that because it was credible, it was transparent, it was provable.
So the gut-wrenching information that Turkish officials allegedly leaked or gave to CNN, you believe could be fake news? I mean, they said that it took 7 minutes to cut up his body, and the lead guy put on music, put on headphones, and suggested others put on headphones while they dismember him, and that he was alive during the process.
Do you know?
No, no.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, this is a murder investigation. And, and I think we have to treat it like a real murder investigation. And I think that has to drive U.S. policy. And people want to do all kinds of things. Look, I think Congress should be involved. We might look at the different actions we might take. But Congress is not even going to come back and look at this until after the midterm elections. So we have several weeks to get a lot more facts and a lot more information and make a lot more sober policy. This issue isn't going anywhere. And I think it's as important that the U.S. get it right as that we get it fast.
It's interesting what the D.C. press corps does, right? They report more and more salacious details in lieu of actual substantiation for the leaked information. So, they could have been listening to Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. That's what we're going to hear next. Oh my gosh. The more responsible position seems to me actually taken by Graham Wood over the Atlantic, which is Turkey should release the Khashoggi tapes. So he doesn't want to hear them, but somebody should hear them. Forensic investigators should hear them. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we should have sent Pompeo to Turkey and Riyadh. We should have sent the FBI director, sending the message that we want a credible investigation and an appropriate release of facts and information. We're always bashing the press. I had a reporter from the news outlet called me yesterday and said, I've got 14 rumors right here in front of me. What do I do with these? Because I can't verify any of this. How do I report on any of this? And to their credit, I've been looking at his byline, and they're not just reporting on every single rumor and spin that comes across their desk. I think that's really responsible journalism.
Yeah, sure.
Write an article on that.
Sure, it's not like they're not treating the Saudis like they treated Kavanaugh, so that's encouraging.
I think there are analogies to this. I know Trevor, what's his name, went after Trump for raising that, but I think it's we should let the facts drive the policy. I get these innumerable questions about, well, what should we do? What should we do? Well, actually, if a malicious act was done and the government doesn't deal with it responsibly, there's actually a lot in U.S. law that says what we can and what we should do. Actually, executing the policy is the easy part once we know the facts.
Well, what did you make about his last op-ed that was published today in the Washington Post, where he, was pushing for an offering, would like to have a free press in Saudi Arabia?
Well, this is why this is an issue to begin with. He was a strident critic of the administration, and in turn, the administration actually, tried to engage with him, and that got him more attention and actually made him more influential, and the relationship between them became more antagonistic. So clearly, the Saudis had an axe to grind with this guy, and so that does speak to motive. And I think that's why I think people are realistically concerned about what the government may not have done. So that's why this is an issue to begin with.
All right, I want to continue to engage in reckless speculation here, but on a different topic. Mueller reportedly ready to deliver the findings of his Trump probe shortly after the midterm elections. Rod Rosenstein giving an interview to Wall Street Journal yesterday, essentially defending the legitimacy of Mueller's investigation, calling it appropriate and independent. What do you anticipate from the forthcoming Mueller report?
Yeah, good luck getting me to speculate on that.
Oh, come on.
What is the virtue what is the virtue of speculating when, we will know the results of the report relatively?
I want to know now. Yeah, we don't have attention spans. I want what I want when I want it, Jim.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Yeah, good luck on that.
What about the investigation itself?
Regardless of what the result of this is, you need to think long and carefully before you appoint a special counsel. There is an appropriate. We just had a great event on this on Heritage. It's on heritage.org. People go back and look at the tape. There's an appropriate role for a special counsel, and I just think you need to take that and it's very, very seriously. And this is, I think, a case study in being thoughtful about the decision to appoint one to begin with. And maybe that's the conversation we should have after we get this results. It has nothing to do with what they conclude or anything else, but whether that was the right instrument to begin with.
All right. He is Jim Carafano. He's the director of the Douglas and Sarah Ellison Center for Foreign Policy Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Also, U.S. Army veteran. Books include Surviving the End and Wiki at War, Conflict in a Socially Networked World. Jim, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey Dow Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.